Hello everybody, welcome back to the Garibaldi Red podcast, a Nottingham Forest podcast. Do hope you're well for our preview this time for another big Forest game, the two remaining games and a chance for Forest to ultimately survive. And we might be safe before a ball is even kicked at the City Ground on Saturday, with Luton travelling to West Ham and Burnley playing Spurs. So it really is all to play for in these last two games, and really actually our second to last preview of the season. So we thought we'd change it up a little bit and doing something slightly different today. Delighted to be joined by Rob Evans, who is the chair of Footprints at the Nottingham-based charity. I'll give a bit of background on Footprints. It's a charity which transforms the lives of children living with mobility and communication difficulties across the East Midlands. I've done some work for them in the past. We've done a brilliant charity football game, and they're doing some exciting stuff this weekend at the Forest game, which we'll touch on in a moment as well. Rob, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, mate, and finally make a debut on the podcast. Just give us a little bit of background info, really, on what Footprints is, how long you've been involved, and maybe your Forest story as well, because you've been supporting Forest a lot longer than me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've already mentioned what Footprints is. It's a Nottingham charity. And we provide conductive education for kids who are born with neurological challenges. Examples of that can be cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. And the best way to describe conductive education is when children are born with disabilities, they're often told by the medical staff what the children won't be able to do. And conductive education basically allows them to maximise the potential. And really gets them to do things that a lot of other people might take for granted, like cleaning their own teeth, eating meals with a knife and fork, being able to lift themselves off the ground, and in some cases, be able to walk unaided, which is an amazing achievement. The other great thing about charity in general, not just Footprints, and to answer your question of how I got involved, is that businesses these days have a responsibility to hit what's called their CSR, which is their corporate and social responsibilities. Many businesses that is applying for tenders these days need to demonstrate the work they're doing in the local community. So getting involved with charities can tick a box at work, but also give you the satisfaction of being, help the, in this case, children, and help them really meet their potential. So, there's a number of benefits. And, I actually got involved by, speaking to Lisa Fox, who I think everybody knows on this podcast, and you certainly do. And then it moved on from there. And I've been involved now for roughly 2 years. And the 2 years has flown by. And as the past 2 years has gone quickly in the world of Forest as well.
Yes, it certainly has, and the football club transforming, really, especially in the Premier League, Rob. And I mean, you kind of saw the glory days, but not so much. And obviously, then kind of I've come along and wanted to see those glory days, which will hopefully return to the City Ground, and fingers crossed we can stay up on Saturday. Just touching on the charity a little bit there before we move on to Forest and another huge game, obviously against Chelsea. Let's kind of talk about Footprints and also the work that they can offer, because there's the Footprints. We often do the Footprints charity game. We do the Footprints ball sometimes, which Lisa organises, as you mentioned there. And how can people get involved in the opportunities that kind of Footprints can give to sponsors and to donations as well, if anyone wants to do that?
Well, the best example of that is this Saturday. As we are the chosen charity by Fan Park, which is being held down at the Brew House on the Trent Bridge there. So that is the first chance that people will have. Any Forest fans who are going to the match can come down and talk to us. I can tell them a little bit more about it. I'm sure you'll leave my details on the podcast. If they don't get down there, they want to talk to us about their CSR, they can come in and see us at the school up in Stenton and see some of the great work that we do. And as you say, there's a number of events throughout the year. We're very lucky. I always say in this world, there's two types of people. There's people who want to be, and there's people who want to do. And you as an example, and our ambassadors, our education team, our trustees. We've got a massive team of doers, and we get involved in so many different events. We've got a casino night in June. We've got a Chinese meal. We get lots of local businesses to help us, and we also actually come about in the last 24 hours. We do hope to announce another big football match, which of course you'll be involved in, Max, at Baseford United in July. On their new Astro, or I would call it Astro, it's 4G now, just showing you my age there, their new 4G. So lots of exciting events throughout the year. At CSL, my company, we're doing a number of walks, a number of swims. That's my thing. I'm into open water swimming, so getting down in the sea on the south coast to do a number of events. And we're also doing the London to Brighton bike ride, 15 of us in September. Still got some places open to that as well. So the list is endless, and all the events that we do are on the website. But the big one this Saturday, Fan Park, expecting 700 people down there. It's going to be an amazing day. The sun's going to be shining, and obviously the other thing is going to happen as well. The big S word, the safety word.
Yes. Yeah, fingers crossed, and you'll see me down at Fan Park like most weeks at Forest on the presenting duties. So I'm sure we'll be doing a few interviews then, Rob. Let's touch on Forest coming to the game with full of momentum. Not so great with the points deduction appeal being rejected this week, but we've got to do it the hard way. We've got to do it on the pitch and focus on the football rather than the financial side off the pitch. It really is a big chance, and Forest will bring momentum into it. How can you see the game going? I mean, it's not an easy task, is it, Rob, against Chelsea, who are in form with Pochettino at the minute?
Absolutely. And, my prediction for Saturday is I honestly can't see the two teams, and I hope I'm not tempting fate here, but I can't see Luton and Burnley getting anything, or certainly getting what they need to take the season into the last game. So my prediction is we'll be safe by 5:30. But then if I was to predict a score, I think I'll go for a 2-2. As you say, I've been a fan for, I think my first game was 1977. So seen a lots of ups and downs, although, the last 2 years have probably been the most exciting, and none more so than Arsenal game at home last year, and it's a very, very similar. Apart from as we just covered, we could actually go into the game with actually not needing to win. So my prediction is definitely we will be safe, and it's the right thing as well. I think that we've earned our right to stay in the Premiership. I can hear my friends on my local WhatsApp football chat raising their eyebrows now, but. When I go back to Nuno's first game, the Bournemouth game, we know what happened in that game. And there's been a number of other examples where we would feel hard done to with refereeing decisions. Some have been proven as where they've apologised to us, some not so. But then I would say as well, where Nuno's concerned, stability is really important. And of course, if we didn't lose the 4 points, we would already be safe. If we didn't have all those decisions going against us, we would have a number more points. And we've been unlucky in a few games as well. But it's still in our control going into the last game. So I'd definitely be saying safety on Saturday. Keep Nuno in the job. He deserves a pre-season. We know he's got lots of good contacts. There'll be a clear out of players, of course, at the end of the season. So I think season 3 is going to be big for us in the Premiership.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. And what did you actually make of the Sheffield United game, Rob, assuming you watched it? You just felt like it was a turning corner. And yes, Sheffield United are the worst team in the league. And yes, they were already relegated. But Callum Hudson-Odoi and in particular Ryan Yates, Mr. Forrest, those two have got to be high on confidence going into this game on Saturday.
Definitely, and you've got to look at that game. There was a period on Saturday where Sheffield United did play really well, and there is a lot of history. Everybody who's been a fan in the 90s will remember the playoff semi-final with Neil Warnock and Paul Hart, and of course there's history from a political point of view with the miners' strike. So you can't look at that game. Just based on two teams playing each other, there's a lot more to it than that. I would take you back to the Man City game, and of course we turned up there as well, and we were very unlucky not to take our chances. So if we start there and then we move into the Sheffield United game, I would say moving into the Chelsea game, we're in a very good position. I would say we're in form as we can be down the bottom of that table to be able to maximise. And I think Murillo will do a job as well at centre half with their biggest danger. I'm confident we'll turn up on Saturday, and that's before we get into the crowd and the atmosphere, and the whole occasion down there is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it should be. What have you made to Murillo? A lot of people will say he's the player of the season. There's other shouts for Nico Williams and for Morgan Gibbs-White. But to say Murillo's so young and kind of run out of superlatives to talk about him on this podcast, but he just is an incredible player. Me and you watched him in that Brentford away end, and he saved Forest a numerous amount of times then too.
He has, but to give a controversial view on it, and I was listening to a podcast recently about the two centre-half partnerships for Aston Villa in the Martin O'Neill days, and he was talking about that Martin O'Neill just said, your two jobs is to head the ball out the box, do nothing else. And he spoke about the way football's changed these days, and the need to be able to, even for the goalkeeper, to be able to play like a midfielder and a centre half as well. I think it's shown a massive improvement last week when Bolly came back, because of course he does do that first and foremost. Although Bolly is also good with his feet as well, I've seen. First and foremost, I think if we'd have Bolly in the side, I think we'd have also gained a few more points. But yeah, Murillo's he's unbelievable to watch. And again, in my WhatsApp group, I've got a few Liverpool fans who mention him, Spurs fans as well. So he has been noticed by other clubs. Again, listening to the scenarios of the financial fair play financials, there's every possibility, of course, we could lose him. And I think I prefer to lose Murillo than lose Morgan Gibbs-White. And that would be the first example of doing what everybody talks about at Brighton, and buying these players at a cost-effective price and then selling them on for big money. So, but yeah, for the half a season, 3/4 of the season that we've had him, it's been amazing to see him. And I'm just so disappointed he's not scored a goal. That one that he took all the way up the pitch at Crystal Palace, that was obviously a dribble, but his long shots as well. It would be amazing to see one of those goes in. But there's still 2 games to go, so let's see.
Yeah, I was going to say, you never know, Rob. You've called it now. It's going to be either the last game or on Saturday. He's going to score. And you mentioned there Morgan Gibbs-White, again a player that has been so crucial to Forest this season. You see the brilliant banner that Forza Garibaldi did for him, and all about kind of shutting out the rest of the noise, and Morgan Gibbs-White has been criticised by other clubs. You mentioned, we talk about Sheffield United there. Sheffield United, Wolves are quick to jump on his back, but he almost seems to feel the difference with Morgan Gibbs-White compared to some players at the moment, Rob, is that he seems to feel like he almost is one of our own, and it's a bit of a strange comparison, but he feels a bit like Ryan Yates, and he feels like players like that almost belong to the football club now, and he's really almost embedded himself into the fan base, hasn't he?
Definitely, and you can see on my wall behind me there, I've still got the Wobble shirt up there that I won in a raffle, and that's definitely something. I understand his shortfalls this season, or the start of this season. I understand the reasons he's moved on, but there is definitely a lack of what I would call Forest players. The academy players. Obviously, Yates is one of them, but yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White coming in 2 years ago, and I think we've been very lucky as well with it, because he was definitely Cooper's man. And as was Hudson-Odoi, Cooper's man. So for Nuno to come in and Morgan Gibbs-White to continue playing the way that he does. And I know, again, same as Hudson-Odoi, he can have games where he disappears for a period of time, but I think that's the case with most flair players. But I really do hope that he stays with us, and I hope he will consider as well that he's guaranteed a place in our side, and he could go to a Spurs, and we've seen with Maddison. Maddison's on the bench on a regular basis recently, and Newcastle, would he get in their side on a regular basis? Maybe not. At ours, he'll always play. So I certainly hope we'll see him for another season at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I've got to ask you about it actually today, Rob, because as we're recording this on a Thursday, the news came out this morning from The Athletic, various reports that Forest were strongly considering moving from the ground. The council not kind of budging in terms of Forest. There was other land that they looked at, but Towton is a serious option, according to Daniel Taylor in his special report this morning. What do you make to all of that, Rob? Because the City Ground really is our home, as Steve Cooper used to call it. It oozes football soul. It's the foundations the football clubs are simply been built on, and to move, in my opinion, it would be an absolute disaster.
I agree, and I hope it's a bargaining tool to put it out there. I do have some experience of Nottingham City Council myself. I know they're going through a number of challenges at the moment with the changeover of personnel in there, and I hope that is part of the reason that Forest are having the challenges that there are. They are, as was mentioned in the Athletic article. The thought of moving up to Towton. There's moving, and then there's moving up to, and nothing with Towton, but it's very, next to the A52 there. It's very Pride Park, isn't it? It would be such a. I read also in the article that we could be going to land at the back of Meadow Lane, which is still Nottingham City Council. So I think that's unlikely to happen. But I do also understand, of course, what it says in there about the financials. There's no way we can sign up to a 250-year deal at the £1 million a year that they're asking for. So I do hope that there comes to some agreement, and we kick on, because for the mere mortal like me as a fan, and you would think for Forest it's an absolute no-brainer. Sorry, for the council it's an absolute no-brainer to want to keep Forest there, and everything that Forest in the Premiership particularly brings in, and maybe when Forest secure their Premiership status, that might change the communication with the council. So I don't even want to think about that. Towton, as I say, that's nothing about Towton. It's just that being alongside the A52 there that I don't like. And the grounds are endless, aren't they? That I've been to, Stoke would be another example that's also on the dual carriageway there at the A50. They're pretty soulless places. Leicester, I think, have done a reasonable job with their ground, although it's not too far away from Filbert Street. So it is possible to have a good atmosphere, but we've got to stay at the City Ground, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also when you look at just the business development side of it, surely for the council just to re-improve the City Ground where it is, the areas around it, the jobs it will continue to have around that kind of West Bridgeford area, it's just vital when you think about the kind of almost the business point of view, and it benefits the council. It just shocks me that they're being this difficult.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as I said, I know that there are a number of new faces. We, as I say, at Footprints have some, dealings with them. And so, I'd like to think it's down to personnel, and somebody at some point will see sense. I would hate to see a load of flats built on the City Ground, although I might consider, moving there, but it's definitely City Ground has got to stay. Forest have got to stay playing at the City Ground.
Yeah, we could buy the City Ground for Footprints. Actually, we could put our new place there. Just to close, then, Rob, you mentioned a little bit about Nuno and about Cooper, and there's been a little bit of divide this week. There was a few reports that Forest were going to consider his position at the end of the season. You think that stability is key? You think we should keep Nuno, if Forest secure their survival on Saturday?
Absolutely. I think any manager, and going back to what I said, I think that I know the stat that he's only got 3 or 4 more points than Cooper, but I do believe that we'd have more points if some of the decisions had gone for us. Clearly, with the 4 points deduction, that will put us in a better position. He deserves a free season, and this, as I said, this end of season, there is a lot of changes in personnel, hopefully. I was reading this morning that there's some issue with the Mangala thing. I don't think that's worked out for him with his loan spell, so he could be coming back. That might be another consideration for us. And the other thing as well, talking of pre-season, Sangari, is that clearly that hasn't worked out for him this season. And we know that Mangala had a better second season, albeit up until Christmas. I really hope that we can get the most out of Sangari, because he's that missing link in the midfield. that we were looking for to try and change our style of play. So I think apart from the time period of getting the manager in, there's no obvious candidates to come in there. So Nuno definitely deserves the chance, and let's help him achieve that, because I think that will be a factor. His last two games, how we perform. So against Chelsea, we know from experience that we have played better against the the top half teams as well. So everything is lined up for us to have a good game with Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely. It just reminded me, actually, that Arsenal game last season with Taiwo scoring. Taiwo comes on against Sheffield United, big boost. Would you stick with the same team, though, going into Saturday, Rob? Don't fix what isn't broken, or would you be tempted to play Taiwo over Chris Wood?
No, I'd stick with the same team, as much as because I don't think Taiwo will be fully fit yet. So I wouldn't waste him, and that will depend, of course. And I know they'll be planning on training all week. They can't just make a decision at 5:00 on Saturday evening when the results have come in. I would definitely. We've got a lot to, and I've been guilty of having a go at Wood. But if he hadn't scored the goals that he scored, then our situation would be more difficult. He will come good. He's done it for many, many years, and I was actually last season at Sheffield Wednesday versus Newcastle, and he was playing for Newcastle, and he missed an absolute sitter there as well. And they were giving him a bit of a hard time then. So he is capable as all strikers, but he gets himself into positions. And even that goal, the one that he missed on Saturday, that was with his left foot, coming across at pace. We can be harsh on him. So I think Yates has got to start as well. Based on the things that we've spoken about on his performance last week, and obviously his goal as well. So I'd be sticking with the same team on Saturday.
Yes, for sure. Just to close then, Rob, and to finalise finally, tell people where they can find Footprints, what's happening again on Saturday with Fan Park, and how they can donate and get involved if they'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, once again, thank you to Satch at Fan Park even, for this opportunity. We will be there from 12:00 on Saturday, and it's not just the stairs area at the Brew House on Trent Bridge. The food places, and there's 3 amazing food places there. We'll be down in the car park, so from 12:00 till 5:00, at which point I will be leaving to go to the Forest game. We'll be there. We'll be collecting your loose change. We will also have our cards that tell you a little bit about it. So you can come over, you can scan our QR code. So if there's any fans going there who have a Nottingham or even an East Midlands or Midlands business, or maybe even some wealthy Chelsea fans, we'd be happy to welcome them down there, talk to them about Footprints, and look about how they can help us, which is an amazing charity who transform children's lives. 2 of the parents will be down there as well. They're part of our extended team. So, if you want to speak to the parents, they'll be there as well. It's going to be a fantastic day. I've seen the forecast. And obviously the match itself is all set up. It's going to be an amazing day. Look forward to seeing everybody down there. Come over and talk to us.
Definitely look forward to it. Footprints, great charity, and does some amazing work for people. And if Footprints didn't exist, then people's lives would be much worse off. So it's such a good charity. So be sure to donate and follow them across social media and on their website, and also Fan Park as well. Another good day expected for the Chelsea game, and they're doing all the stuff for the Euros, which I'll be involved with as well. So you'll even get to hear my voice on the screen and on the microphone throughout the Euros. You can get tickets by visiting Fan Park online. Right, I think that does us nicely. Fingers crossed for a Forest win on Saturday. Fingers crossed that Forest are safe before a ball is even kicked, as you said, Rob. And we will be talking about Forest securing Premier League survival next week. And then we can go to Burnley in the Hawaiian shirts singing Waka Waka. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? As always, do give us a like, share and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us across Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review if you did enjoy. We'll see you Monday for our main episode, or maybe before if we win, depending on how we're feeling. Come on, you Reds. Rob, thank you. And fingers crossed that Forest can secure survival on Saturday. We'll see you next time.